Well, hello, everyone. Hello, Rambir. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Hey, Sherry, how's it going?
Going very well. Thank you so much for taking the time to join today and to have this lovely chat on AI because nobody's talking about AI.
Not
No,
really.
not really. Actually, I'm really intrigued to have this dialogue with you today because I feel like people aren't talking about what we're going to talk about today regarding AI.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's so much about the reward of using AI, which that's legit, definitely, but there's also this risk side of it as well. And a lot of people are having a hard time kind of, how do I wiggle through this? What are the choices I need to be making? So I'm really super excited to
Yep.
break this open.
Same
Thank
here.
you
Yeah,
for
no, you're
taking the
welcome.
time.
Thank
Well,
you.
awesome. Let's just dive right into it so you guys know what you signed up for. Thank you so much for hopping in today. Really appreciate it. We want your questions. We're going to be monitoring the questions as we go. And if they make sense to jump in, during our dialogue, we're going to pick those up. So I'll definitely be taking a look on that. But please, let's send the questions in. Let's make it engaging. We do these to help people and to, kind of we're all in this thing together and what should we be thinking and what should we be doing? So thank you so much, Rambert, for your time today. I know everybody's time is precious. Really, really appreciate this. So let's just get right into it. Everyone is talking about AI. I think I joked at the beginning. Nobody's talking about this. Ha ha ha. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's trying to figure out how this thing, what am I supposed to do with this thing? We've all seen the Terminator movies. And then I recently watched The Matrix again and was shocked how that was right along these lines, what, almost 30 years ago, which is crazy. But then, there's definitely risk, there's definitely reward. Everybody's trying to get there. I don't think you can just ignore it these days. What are your thoughts? What are you seeing?
Yeah, no, that again, thank you, Sherry, for having me.
Of
Absolute
course.
delight. And you're right. Nobody is really talking about how to secure AI, right?
Mm-mm.
Everybody's building, let's say, SaaS solutions, AI SaaS solutions and products, you know, among any different industries now, right? And again, lots of businesses are sort of curiosity does not kill the cat because they want to know like how can it benefit and leverage, you know, their business, for example, right? But the reality is that we're getting to a place where, from an ethical side, we have our AI tools versus from the dark web or dark world. They have their tools using AI, which they use
Ooh.
in unethical practices. Very,
Yeah, they're not waiting. Yeah.
yeah. But the bigger question is, like you said earlier to your point, that AI has become so transactional. I don't know about you, but like even social media and again everybody's trying to sell it but nobody's doing a good job explaining of what are the challenges that it's trying to solve. A and B, educating folks that are using it, even with the business from a governance perspective. I mean, this
Yeah.
aligns very well with you and Hotman, right, group. And the idea is like, okay, well, we're using this product, but what about third party risk and where's my data being stored? I mean, I always would say everybody don't upload your tax returns to an AI solution if you don't know if it's secure or not. Don't upload
Ooh.
your medical records
Yeah.
that you don't because you don't know who's on the other end and who's looking at that stuff. It's very scary,
Yeah.
right? And
It is
now
very scary.
yeah, and you said Terminator. I mean, there's AI machines talking to AI machines, and they're coming up with their own language. I know it's very scary. It's very scary today.
I know.
So
It
my two.
is, and I think, in the beginning, which wasn't that long ago, honestly, this thing is moving so fast. People were like, "La la la, don't use it." And then it's like, "Oh wait, we got to use it." And you brought up the bad actors. Oh, the bad actors aren't, AI governance what? Don't care. The bad actors are just going because they see the win, they see the reward. And so unfortunately, they're going to use it nefariously against us, so we have to learn how, to position it in a right way. And then you also said AI governance, which makes me chuckle because I see so much like stuff on LinkedIn and articles about, ooh, AI governance. We need to really be mindful of that. Can I just tell you that's governance? Like, this is risk mitigation, this is governance, this is no different than what we already do. It's just a different technology. When cloud came on the scene, same problem. People were like, "Oh, no, 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 I will never use cloud, ever." You're hard pressed to find a company these days that don't use cloud, but you do it in a smart way with proper governance and really understanding the risk. It's funny you said that. My kind of perception is people are looking at AI from a contractual standpoint, so I hear that a lot from companies like, "Well, it's not really gonna use our data to train, so I think we might be okay. I think that's good." And I think people just don't know what they don't know. I talked to a client, I don't know, a week ago, a new client who was like, "Oh, we wanna do our SOC 2, and it's all an AI-based company," and then you look at the SOC 2, it's like there's nothing about AI in there, so probably should think about the risks of AI. Like, it's just I think people just don't know what they don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, no, that again, that's a great point, and this great conversation we're having is where AI actually was theoretically invented, maybe not patented, but invented in 1956. So it's nothing new, right? It's 7 8 decades, 7 decades old,
Correct.
because
Yeah.
computing power was as big as a office space, right? And now computing power is in the palm of our, sorry, it's my phone, but I was showing, but it's in the palm
Yep.
of our hand. So now, because the computational power has significantly increased, we can build these type of solutions. I mean, artificial intelligence genuinely means that it's something that can sort of do things on its own, but the reality is you have to teach it because
Right.
it has a, well, let's say, metaphorically speaking, a subconscious, right? I know that sounds scary, but it does. It's the reality is that you're teaching it just like when I'm learning how to code, right? Like when I was in college, I learned how to code C, C++, right? So ideally, it's still there is still code behind everything, right?
Yep.
Most AI large language models, Python is a big one. Everybody uses it. It's not that complicated to use, but this is how you can build your AI solutions for back end, right? The other challenge is you also have big name vendors that are saying, hey, we're securing your data, but I don't really think they are because here's my logic to that. Like your data is being stored somewhere. It's yes,
Yeah.
it's in the cloud, but it's owned by the big name vendor, small vendor that manages infrastructure as a service. What that means is you have these data centers, they rent out masses, they buy a ton of servers. So your data is sitting somewhere in some data center. You choose wherever you want it to store.
Yep.
But what how do you know that it's secure? Because
Yeah.
you're going to trust that vendor? Absolutely not. You can go
Not.
back in time.
Yes.
There were, there were the big names that got hacked because they
Oh,
hired a
yeah, of
contractor,
course.
they didn't do the background checks. Again, um, you know, this makes me think like, well, if you're going to build an AI solution, why don't you just build it in-house and hire somebody to come and build it for you? What makes your life easier in the GRC world because now you know that hey, there is a physical device present somewhere, hopefully behind a firewall and lockdown, virtual LANs, all that good stuff. Not to get too technical, but the idea is it. Then you know, hey, your data is still on a hard drive somewhere or on memory
Yeah.
somewhere, and you can build this AI solution how you want it and tailor it to your business and not worry that it's being in the hands of companies that are looking for exit strategies or to be bought. Because
Yeah.
I for sure, and I'm not saying that word, that they're not securing your stuff. 1000%.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that struggle is real, and obviously the whole build versus buy is definitely an evaluation that companies can take a look at. I mean, there is a lot of risk that is taken on with the cloud world and convenience, and companies can decide that. But then this whole notion of, to not really like thoroughly go through the due diligence and explore where the risks are, where is the data live, how is it being protected from a very AI perspective, like, we can't skip those parts. Again, it's not new. It's the same stuff we should be doing. It just is targeted to something else. And then on the screen there, that last one, a lot of people don't think about that, but it's well, not what it says, but the whole prompting thing. It's funny because when you search, you will say like a few little things. When you go into AI, you tell it your whole life story, your dirt, your, what you're thinking, everything. So even that in and of itself becomes like an exposure. And then when companies go and do their due diligence, are they even thinking like to that level, like this whole risk exposure all the way through the process?
Yeah, no, again, now it makes me think of a newsletter I posted a while ago talking about AI and the idea of, not the idea, but the reality of, securing it, and sort of, some I won't say the mobile carrier's name, but one of the big names, right? Or they make mobile phones. Their stuff got leaked because they were playing
Oh, yeah.
around with it, but they didn't
I
realize that
remember.
they
Yep.
had to lock this stuff down because,
That's
like,
right.
remember,
Ooh,
AI is like a search engine, okay? Where anything you feed it, it's gonna store it somewhere and it's gonna
yep.
learn it, and it's sharing across millions of plus users, millions and millions of users using Gen AI, OpenAI, ChatGPT. Again, these are the big names I'm saying, but there's so many out there.
There
But
is,
again, it's
yes.
all transactional. Nobody there, again, if they were to get audited, they would fail miserably. I'm not trying to be mean, but like that's not what
Yeah,
they care about. All they care
yeah,
about is like, how can we get more users, make a ton of money, and exit? That's the
yeah,
reality versus, well, you can tell business owners, or even current clients, or future clients, the idea that, well, why don't you build your own AI solution, and then we can come and add our governance to that, and now you feel much more safer because it's contained, right? Limit accessibility. It's not accessed by anybody else, maybe but you
yeah.
and folks in your company, for example. And again, we don't think about these things because
You don't.
everybody's looking at from a transaction. If it ain't gonna make me money, then I'm not gonna go after it, right?
Yeah, and from a user standpoint, there's so much value in it. Now, to be clear, it's not taking over the world tomorrow, and
Oh,
I
no.
I argue with it every day because sometimes it's just colossally dumb. And we're going to talk about some of, those risks from a usage standpoint later. We're talking about more kind of the back end. But here's the reality. There is value. It does make people more efficient. It does make it quicker to learn things and to take new
Oh, yeah.
concepts. It's very good at writing in some cases. Like there, we were talking about PowerPoint earlier. Yes, in some cases it can accomplish that. In other cases, you better check its work because it's again, I'll go back to it's dumb in a lot of cases. But it's getting smarter, it's getting more and more. So people are using it, which is great. Some companies are really encouraging people to use it within the organization. And then what's interesting is we'll do BIAs for companies, and so over the last year or so, as part of our BIA, we typically have been recommending to our clients like, "Hey, when we talk to the business leaders across the organization, let's just explore where AI is." And almost always, "Oh, I did not know they were using it for this particular thing." Right. Because we've had shadow IT for so long. Now we have shadow or rogue AI going out unless companies explicitly block them. But then to your point, there's so many out there popping up. It's almost you can't block it down. So then it becomes, let's give our employees a right mechanism, a right way to do this that is properly governed with proper security, whether we've built it or bought it, either one, or whether we host it or it's cloud, but still all of those same disciplines. Because I mean, I'm sure you're saying the same thing. This thing is in organizations, either sanctioned or not sanctioned.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, you name the industries everywhere, right? Doesn't matter, commercial, public sectors, but the idea is bigger than that because you also have to think of it from a different perspective, right? So all the vendors that are in the spreadsheet, right? Microsoft, Salesforce, big names, big names, right? So they're now integrating AI in their systems, right? Well,
Yep.
okay, I'm paying for the service, right, as a customer, but do I fully trust that they're securing my stuff as a cybersecurity person for over two plus decades? Absolutely not. And here's why, right? We have to think about from a marketing perspective, right? So now you pop it into their AI systems, you feed it stuff, it's learning stuff, but it's all being stored somewhere and maybe leveraged again, obviously legal, I'm hoping legal purposes, right? Because obviously they have to, continue to scale their businesses, even though there are big names, they're still business,
Yep.
right? But we also have to be mindful of what we're uploading to their systems and their tools, right? Especially in your business, right? Like, why are you uploading multi-million-dollar contracts to Copilot? Now, Microsoft knows you have a contract with that client. How do you know they can come around and take your client for their purposes and gain? I don't
I
know, and
don't.
I hope not. I really hope not. And again, in the odd and strange times,
Sadly, this is how we should think, though, to your point. Yes.
in the odd
Uh,
and strange times we're living today, but hey, we're here and we're having this
yeah.
conversation. Right? So,
Yeah, you and I have a mutual friend who's a New York attorney, and it was funny because I was
yeah,
chatting with her one day, and I don't even remember the company names or whatever, but for
yeah,
like a fun exercise, she like followed the legal trail through, like training and governance and commitment to what they are or are not doing. And it ended up just being a circular reference. Like this referred to this, which referred to this, which went right back to the beginning. And so, laughably on paper, from a contractual standpoint, nothing to do with the actual security or the actual governance, but from a contractual standpoint, they literally just put themselves in a circular reference, so they committed to nothing, was the bottom line. And she was just like, "Oh my gosh." But people don't know that. Like normal people, especially security people, I do everything I can do to not have to read contracts. Like this is not what I wake up in the morning wanting to do is read contracts.
for sure.
And so, but there it is right there to your point that if it's, contractually we should see what it is, follow the threads all the way through. But then what comes next? Now there's the security, there's the governance. What is really the risk to the organization? So it is wildly convenient. We cannot run away from this thing. I mean, I myself use it, but I use it in a smart way of, what do we put in it? So part of that, you mentioned that. Part of that go again, these are not new concepts. This is what's funny about this room
Yeah.
here. Everybody's like, "Ooh,
Oh,
it's all new." It's not new. So what you just talked about was, hey, that's called data classification. That's called we need to be able to know which types of documents, which type of data is allowed in this thing, which type is not. What's our process for exceptions outside of that? Like, again, that's just all the governance and the process around how we're going to smartly using this. But you obviously have a passion for the back end security of this thing. So, how do you pair that to what I just said?
you oh man, you hit the nail. And you know what it makes me think of the day,
Yeah.
and and I'm probably dating us here. Sorry. Like sorry, the racks, right? Like you have a closet, you have a network closet, you have a couple servers, you have firewall, you have backups, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And it just was so nice to go and see those things because, as an engineer, an architect, or whatever my past lifetime and running cables and all that, but it was a lot bigger than that because it was like, okay, well, I could go to a place and meet people. A, that's awesome. You get the human interaction, and B, go there and actually do an assessment or analysis of, okay, well, here's your network, and maybe you have a disaster recovery. And this was like, even though as complex as that sound back then, now it's so confusing because it's like, okay, well, we host our applications in a cloud. It's on a server that's connected out to the internet. There's no virtual file. There's no segmentation. What that means is there's no fences or walls, borders put up to protect your data, right? So it's like, okay, well, because
Well, there should
everybody
be.
well, yeah, there should be because it's like, okay, let me spin up a SaaS solution, not protect it, and all of a sudden, start selling it as an AI solution, and
Oh, it's
that's
possible.
what
Yeah.
everyone is doing. So that's why all of
Yeah.
a sudden the boom of startups took it to the AI because remember cloud
Yep.
buzzword 25 years ago? Oh, we're not going to do that. Public sector, the government sector was like, oh, we're not, and then they ended up doing all of that, but putting faith and trust in the vendors that they spend millions of dollars for, not just from a cyber perspective, but any type of HR system, operational systems, ticketing systems, for example. But it's a lot bigger than that because you have to think outside the box. Well, where is my data being protected? Right? Or is it being sold? Is it being marked? I mean, I don't know about you, but I get messages, I get calls, I
Oh,
get
yeah.
text messages, always being sold to. And even in the
For
financial
sure.
world, it's a whole different conversation. But again, honing back to the hidden costs of convenience, because for $20 a month, you can upgrade your AI solution and not have to wait for things to process and yada yada yada. Again, that's part of the transactional
Yeah.
perspective because it's so fast. And again, you don't need a ton of I have a 10-year-old MacBook that I'm running GPTs on. 10 years. So the idea is like, oh, we're going to build data centers, and that's all fluff and BS because it's all for market share and shareholders, to investors to get excited. So when AI came out, maybe 5, 7 years ago, it was like, oh, that was, or 5 years ago, it was like the hottest thing because it was available down to the consumer. But I don't know if you remember shareware games and Duke Nukem, and if you ever played, PC games and stuff like that, and like you would say, okay,
Oh,
you're entering a room and there's a light in here. That's
yep.
AI basically. It's all code. It's all code. It's not, again, it's nothing AI. If you really want to talk about artificial intelligence, it goes to robotics, which we're not going to get into here today, but I'm
Yeah.
giving you the idea, right?
But it's much more accessible is what you're saying. It's again, this stuff is not new. It's been around, but now it's much more accessible, just like you're saying you're running it on a MacBook there. And and we're stuck in the tension of, yeah, it's a risk, but again, the reward is so can be so massively potential for just efficiency and, intelligence. I'll use that word loosely, but to just have access to information and all of that. So we're stuck in the tension of that. And security is certainly not, as unfortunately CISOs sometimes or heads of security get the nickname that they're the no person and just everything is no, no, no. And we can't do that. We're here to support the business. And if the business has the opportunity of reward with using this, then we have to help them intelligently step through from a risk-based perspective to, yes, put appropriate measures in place, um, that we can responsibly use this thing. But again, we're stuck in the tension because then I go back to what you said right at the beginning, the bad actors, they're not stuck in that tension. They don't care. They're like, "Oh, look at this. I can do exponential fishing and no longer is grammar and misspelling a problem for me. I can trick people because I can harvest information off of their social media that they're not thinking they shouldn't put out there and all this random different stuff and the breach information, and I can really target and I can do all of that in real time." So they're not stuck in that tension, which puts us even more in that kind of awkward position.
Yeah, no, it just, again, it just makes me think that we're here now, right? We have this technology that's always been around, just now it's for marketing and buzz and investors. I get it. But the idea is a lot bigger than that because, again, you said CISO, right? The chief information security officer role was never well defined, right? And they
Still
never
isn't.
got to sit at the C level, or they were treated like, you'll sit at the kids table, right? Like you go to a
It's
wedding, okay,
it
you're sitting at the kids table, and
it's
it's
sadly a lot
it's
of
sad.
that way still.
It's very sad because, like, for that role, right? And genuinely, I learned, like, I over the course of time and running my own business, I understood that if you don't understand the business, you don't understand how it all works. If especially the company you go work for, you're going to fail miserably, and here's why: because C levels, top notch, top dogs, not shareholders, board of directors, they are very non-technical. They don't
Very,
understand CVEs. They don't
in most
understand
cases.
vulnerabilities,
Yeah.
and they may not even know what malware, ransomware. And it's not to be funny or a joke, but they're very, very process oriented. Is it going to make us money? Are we going to scale? And that's really what's most important to us, to them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we
And
as
that's
cybersecurity leaders forgot that we have to understand the business. We have to do the discovery. Every single digital device, physical device, components that is aligned and connected with that organization is the first part. The second part is what is cost of impact. And a lot of CISOs don't know how to tell that story because, and it's not their fault. It's not their fault. They're not trained to
yeah.
understand business. They're trained
Yeah.
to say, okay, well, there's 10 critical vulnerabilities. And I've met so many CISOs in my lifetime, some really phenomenal ones and some ones that have big egos bigger than the universe, right? And I'm not trying to be funny. And hey, but they have that because their job is on the line. They could get
Yeah.
terminated anytime, and some that just should never have been in that role. But anyways, not going there. So my
Yeah,
point is, The point is like, again, I hope I'm not taking offense to anyone, but the reality
Oh,
is
no.
that it's a underdog role because cybersecurity is one of the most challenging yet rewarding industries. I don't know why you and I are still in it. Maybe our hearts are just too much into it.
Oh, it's too much fun. I love a good challenge and a good problem. It's too much
Me
fun.
too.
But yeah, you brought up something really interesting. I mean, you're right. Business folks, leaders, boards, they speak in the language of risk, and as security people, we need to meet them there. Quite frankly, 10 vulnerabilities, 4,000 vulnerabilities, this CVE, like blah 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 blah. I feel like it's when I talk to about, government people, it's like acronym with acronym with acronym with acronym. It's like,
HCOs,
can you speak English? And
SAPs.
that's probably how a lot of heads of organizations and boards, and they're just like blah blah blah. And then some of it's self-imposed. They're like, I don't want to hear it. Don't tell it to me. Don't speak to me, because if I don't know it, then I can say I don't know it. And and then that's not right either. So let's take this just a little bit down in a tactical level, because I would love to hear your thoughts. So we talked about that there is definitely reward, but that convenience has a cost. So let's talk about what some of the risks, because that's what we're talking about here. Like, what are some of the exact risks? But then I love to give people solution as well. So then what are some of the things they should be thinking, walk away with? So I think we've already sort of hit on this, is data exposure. Even to the point of what you're telling, oh, and here's what I think, and here's my life story, and here's the this, the this, the this, all this information that you're telling it is being put somewhere. And then, oh, that lovely word retention. We don't even think about that word, certainly not on a personal level. How long does that thing exist? I always tell people, once it's out there, it's there forever. Just count on it. That's
Yeah.
the way it goes. So what are your thoughts? And then what should we be thinking?
Well, yeah, no, that, and again, you bring up a very great point. It's the governance piece, right?
Mm,
So if you have, and it can be in a document signed, dotted by your employees or contractors, whoever works for you, to understand that if you do plan to use AI, here are the rules. Now, it's sort of tricky because you're putting trust in them and faith in them, right? I mean, if they're going to do something, it's already
and your
planned,
employees. I
and yeah,
know,
and
yes.
your employees.
And we
Now,
know people are our biggest risk. So, yep.
now for your clients, it's a great way to educate them, to educate their employees to understand that you have to have governance around AI, because if you don't plan to build your own AI solution, then good luck.
Yes.
Once you, like you said, once you put a picture of you on the web, it's there forever. Even
Count
even
on
get
it.
Google to delete it, they will, but it's somewhere else. It doesn't matter. It's
That's
stored on
correct.
some server, some file, etc. Not going to get into. The internet is a huge place. The dark web is even bigger. So
That is
the
correct.
idea is
Yeah.
like, okay, well, you just follow rules. I mean, go back to basics of using AI, and and treat it as if it was your own company that you work for, even though you're an employer,
Ooh, that's good.
right?
Wow. Be
Yeah,
vested. I love that. Yeah, like, it's more than showing up at a job. Like, be vested in what you're doing. Like, think that all the way through. And, shame on the companies that don't define that clearly, and that don't, to your point, we go through a lot of mechanism of, oh, we got to do security awareness training. We got to get people to acknowledge,
yeah.
oh, you'll keep the data confidential. But has that really extended to AI? No, not really widespread. And then beyond that, far too many companies are like, oh, well, I checked the box and everybody signed the acknowledgement. This is not about checking the box and everybody signing the acknowledgement. This is about, do people really truly understand the risk? Have you educated them? Have you helped them to make right choices? And then yes, we need to hold them accountable to those choices, which is a very different mindset than, oh, SOC 2 requires I have this form, so check, 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 I'm done. Meanwhile, you've not even touched the risk, or worse yet, you've made the risk worse. And so you talked about it earlier too, like these big name vendors, it's so easy to be like, well, let's fill in the blank here, so we don't need
Yeah,
to
we
worry
trust
about
them.
that. Yeah, whatever. There is no such thing as trust in the security world,
Zero
unfortunately.
trust.
But yeah, zero trust. I love it. So
Whole different conversation. Sorry.
yeah, actually, that would be a very fun conversation. But yeah, zero trust, even in our mindset. We should have zero trust in our mindset of social media, in our mindset of what we email, in our mindset of all of that as human beings, because, to your point, stuff gets on the dark web, it gets there through breaches, it never goes away. And it's
No.
so easy to be complacent about that, but we need to truly truly prepare ourselves for that. So yeah, so what is that vendor due diligence? If we've made a decision to build, then stick to the build. And then how do we train people to not do what they're not supposed to do? And then how do we put some technical constraints in place to keep
Well,
them doing that? Make sure you stay like, up to date with what they need to do their jobs. Like there's so many pieces to design this to like make it governed and responsible and really of value to the organization.
well, yeah. So it just makes me think of again third-party risk management or TPRM, where
Yep.
let's say if some of that comes back to where it makes your life a lot easier for a client that's willing to go in-house and build their own AI solution, and it can be in the cloud, it's fine, but remember, they're in control, it's managed by them. And the other challenge is also like, okay, if you hire developers, yes, outsourcing them outside of the US, yes, they are more cost effective, but what is your data worth to you? It should be.
Yeah.
There
Oh,
is no price. There is no price.
I saw something on LinkedIn recently. I have to say this, that your commitment to security is evidenced by your budget. I'm like, "Oh, that's so good." So when a company's like, "Oh, but I can buy this tool and hit the easy button over here and it's $10,000 and ooh, that's a good idea." That's your level of commitment to risk mitigation and security. I'm like, "Ooh," because you just said it.
It's so frustrating, right? It's so frustrating that even in the architecture world, for example, right? Like when you have an architecture building out the layout of the information systems, for example, and I would say vendors, because nobody's putting the time to build these things anymore because and the reality is they're using open source, but they're charging you like an arm, leg, and extra
Yeah.
fingers and toes, right? And
Well, you're getting down into the weeds. You're talking about stuff. So, obviously for obvious reason, a lot of companies are being killed with compliance right now, security compliance.
oh,
And
I
so we
know,
we
even the
will
big
help
guys.
companies with that. But can I tell you, it doesn't get down into the weeds. So it's so interesting because most of the frameworks, a lot of the frameworks, of course, are risk minded, and it should start with a risk assessment. But so many companies skip that piece, or they're like, "Oh, I'll just buy this thing, and there's my risk assessment. I'll go fill it out. Woohoo! Yay me!" It means nothing. It's a
That
useless
is
exercise. And you just talked about it. Like you're getting down into the tentacles of the weeds. And if that's a risk to my organization, I need to go there. It's not a compliance thing. It's a protection thing.
well. I'm sorry. I'm just like I'm like the emoji with me smacking my head. I'm doing that right now, and I'm thinking that about that right now because like we threw all of that out the window because you're right. Companies don't want to spend money in cyber, or they don't have a budget for cyber because
I know.
it's not a return on investment. If it's not a
But it
return on
is.
investment, we don't no, but it is. It's a return, a
Uh,
rosy. I call it
yep.
rosy return on security
Oh, that's
investment.
right. I remember that.
Go and
Yes.
make that and start marketing. I don't care. It doesn't matter. My point is
Yep.
like, okay, well, we got to think outside the box, right? In the vendors in Gartner we trust. Are you kidding me? Right? Like, and again, I don't mean to bring up their name, but you got to pay some good dollars to be on that quadrant, right? And that's another problem I had with a lot of CISOs from the past that I've known. They would trust the Gartner report. Well, how do you know they're securing your data that you're sending
Yeah.
them or securing your stuff? You can spend millions of dollars. I mean, I've worked at places where they were spending $5 to $10 million a year in technology, in cybersecurity technology, right? But that was only covering 10, 15% of known attacks. Now we're in AI threats, which the vectors can change in nanoseconds. You have
Oh,
AI bots talking to AI
crazy.
bots in their
Yes.
language, and it's scary. And they're using it so let's say all these CVEs that we know, like in matter of seconds, it changes the attack vector. So you would never know if you had
Mm,
beaconing in your
I
servers,
know. Isn't that
your database
crazy?
servers, your server farm. You have bigger problems.
Yes. Somebody asked a question that I think is right along this thread of what you're talking about. How do you get employees to actually follow AI rules without slowing them down? Very great, fair question. Here's the two things I would say. And then I want to hear your thoughts. Number one, We can't be slow about this. That is harsh reality. You're talking about it right now. This stuff is changing in nanoseconds. Now we don't quite move that quickly. But the point is we cannot sit around and, "Oh, well, should we do this? Should we do that?" Like we can't do that because the employees will go and do something different. So one, that's on us. That's on security leadership to be like, "You need to find a solution now." And then start to socialize that, start to train, start to work with people. Like we're here to help enable them with what they need to do to run the business, not just prevent them. So we got to be quick about doing that. The other part of this is because this really is a risk conversation and it really is a risk decision. This is where a company's risk capability really starts to shine. Because if their risk capability has been passing this audit, passing this audit, passing this audit, but they're not really doing risk mitigation at all, then it's going to show up here because they're not going to be able to navigate quickly through any of this. But if a company really does focus from a risk standpoint with risk assessment processes, with those mechanisms in place, then that will enable them to go quicker through this process to be smarter. What do you agree, and what would you add to that?
No, I completely agree with what you just said. You just took the words out of my mouth. But like to add to your point, Sherry, is where like obviously you can't do threatening marks to your employees. Last thing you want is leaving, especially you have
No.
really great trusted employees that you've been with you for a long time.
Coaching and training. Yes,
Coaching and training,
exactly.
yeah, you're always coaching and
Yes,
training, even self, right?
correct. Yep,
But the idea is like, okay, well, okay, we have this governance. Here's the policy. If you plan to use AI, here are the approved AI tools we can use. Now that's
yep,
part one. Sorry, that's part A. Part B is like, there are solutions and softwares that do monitor. Like they
yep,
put an agent on your machine. So anything that triggers any of the use cases that have anything
yep,
AI will get sent back to maybe HR. And again,
yep,
like third time's the charm, and you're booted out because you violated, the code or sorry, you violated the form you signed for
yep,
AI compliance, right?
yep,
Like you vowed that you're not going to do this and you're only going to use the approved tools, right?
yep.
And then the alternate solution, again, if they plan to build a solution in-house, and I know a lot of companies, they think that it's going to cost them so much money to do. It's really not, and you just have to
Interesting.
shop around and you have to find someone that knows what they're doing, and maybe hire somebody local or within US borders. And I'm not saying people can be trusted here either, but I'd say, okay, well, at least you hire who you hire and who aligns with your business, right? Generally
Yep,
speaking. And the idea is like you have to sometimes do a leap of faith here, right? To
yeah,
say, okay, well, we're going to allow AI, but here are the rules. And
yep,
every company, even our companies, have bylaws, right? Like
yep,
do's and the don'ts. You keep
yep,
don'ting it, that doesn't make any sense, but obviously then they're going to boot you. That's just the
yep.
nature of the beast, right?
Yeah, and what you're talking about monitoring, which of course is part of a security program to figure out what your monitoring should be and then what action you're going to take on that. And I have this conversation with companies a lot. I just can't help but say it because it's just funny. Is monitoring is not the same as logs. They're two different things.
Oh my
Um, yeah, so logs is not monitoring. Monitoring is monitoring, just exactly what you were just talking about. And then what action, what thresholds, what actions, and then following those actions all the way through. But here's the funny with this is again, you would know to do that as an organization based on some sort of risk assessment. Compliance, not even thinking that right now. And so if companies that build what they do around compliance, oh my gosh, they're so missing the mark on this deal because compliance is just behind in that space and it will always be behind to some
Of
degree.
course, of
But the
course.
mechanisms are there if they would just do with integrity, those pieces. But I would love for you to talk about what's on the screen there because that's a particular type of risk. So, and people who are listening may not really fully even know what that means and why that's a risk and why would we even think about those things.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great point, right? Like, prompt injections and model misuse, right? Like maybe you did a typo or maybe you uploaded some information that you shouldn't be uploading it. How can it use for your gain, right? And knowing if it's a trusted AI solution, but if it's not one of the knowns, like, and I'll bring it up, DeepSeek was a big one, right? Yes, there was out of the ages. Okay, fine. you don't even know where these AI solutions are being built today, but they got hacked. So how many millions of humans' data, like PII, personally identifiable information, or
Yep.
folks using it to say, hey, how do I write an injection code to do this? Now, the big one is happening, and this is happening like every 10, 15 minutes. My phone is called, right? Luckily, my carrier has this app that blocks most of it, but basically they are doing robocalls using AI-based bots out of, sorry to say this, but it's out of the ages, and it's happening to, where it masks your number to a local area code, and it's an
Yep.
AI call center that says,
Mm.
"Hey, you have Medicare Part A," and people are falling for this. It's so
Oh, I
sad, and
know. Such a
not a
different
lot of people are
world.
talking about it. And
Mhm.
FCC is not doing anything about it. I don't mean to say that, but it's true, right? Why is this happening now?
Yeah.
Because they removed some rules that protected us from these called robotype calls. But now it's happening so bad that again, the way the scam works is they say, hey, do you have Medicare, Medicaid Part A, Part B? And what if they only have $200 for the month, to last them for groceries or gas or whatever they need, or for medicine, whatever. I'm just giving you an example. And then they get scammed out of 200 because really it's the gift card scam. They'll have go get you a gift card and say, okay, well, all you have to do this, and then bam. And again, sorry, from an emotional standpoint, sometimes even what they're doing, they won't feel bad because they're, maybe they have families to support. I don't feel bad or condone what they're doing. I think it is awful, but nobody's doing anything to campaign and say, okay, well, don't become a victim of it here. And
Yeah.
it's bad. It's really bad. And again, I know how this aligns back to what this slide is saying is that, okay, you got to put safeguards around there. You got to educate your employees. It's like security awareness training 101 all over again, but AI.
I know it is, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
I
very much.
know, but it's changing because what you're talking about with the calls, again, not new schemes. But we've been training people for years about certain clues that they can look for to indicate that, hey, this is something nefarious. And those clues are immediately different.
Yeah, no.
So
So
all of this. Somebody asked a question. What does a prompt injection actually look like in real life? Can users detect it?
yeah, no, that like it's basically you're in the AI, whichever one you're using, and you're just entering prompts like, hey, how do I build this malware-based injection solution? And ethical AI may tell you, hey, I don't do that. But what about the unethical AI solutions out there? And they do exist. And it will give you everything you need to build something. And
I
it
see.
sounds really bad because
Yeah.
we're on the sorry, we're the good cops. We're on the ethical side, the white hat hacker side, versus those that are not. And they're everywhere. They sit here. They sit all over the world. Sometimes they all
Yeah.
work organized cybercrime groups. So very
Yeah, and
very
I mean it's akin to SQL injection too. I mean, again, not a new thing. It's just a new technology. And if I can get it to somehow run something or expose something, again, the bad actors, they don't have governance to worry about. So that's not their problem.
They don't.
Okay.
They make a lot. They make like 100 times more than we do, and we're here like trying to preach to the choir.
But I can sleep at night, so that well, maybe they can too. Different
Yeah, yeah,
conversation.
we can. We can.
So here's another thing that we need to really think about is hallucination and over reliance. And this is real right here. I've done some kind of I'm sure we all have done some funny experiments with the AI just trying to figure out how smart it is and it's not as, there's value to it and how you use it, but it can definitely give wrong answers. I feel very, like, afraid for us as a people because I'm thinking about, like, kids in, elementary school and middle school and high school that never really take the time to, like, think and look things up and, is this really accurate? Is this not really accurate? Right? And if over reliance on this thing, then do they have critical thinking skills past that? I mean, that's a very
Yeah,
different
it
conversation.
well,
Yeah, but you just can't like 100% rely on this thing, and the minute you do that it's like I'll even see, "Oh, we've got this new whiz bang AI with GRC, you put all these agents in your environment and poof, we're done. You're good. Are you though? Because there's still this little word called governance. And there's still this little word of how is it designed and what is it actually doing? And the minute I think it's doing what it should be doing, and then it goes wrong, and I have this false sense of security that it's good, I'm in a worse state at the end than I was at the beginning.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm gonna keep it short. I know we have a ton of slides to go through. I know it's 15 minutes.
Not too
We could
much.
talk forever, but
No, we could.
it's just it just it frustrates me in the sense that um AI is basically like a dummy terminal, right? Remember the green screens? Maybe
Mhm.
those that
I'm gonna
Marvel
say
know
no. I'm
what I'm
gonna
talking
say
about.
no because I don't want to claim that age. So I don't
Okay,
know what
well,
you're talking
okay,
about.
fine. The history, right? I'm not talking about
Yes,
age. The history
history. I read it in a book.
of terminal and client server, right? So what it makes me think
Yes.
is, okay, I need to teach this machine, or right now it doesn't even know anything, right? So I have a fresh, let's say AI instance that I'm running, and I built myself, hypothetically speaking, right? And I wanted to learn C++. So I'm going to download a digital book. There's thousands of them out there. I'm going to download a digital book, C++ for dummies.
Hmm.
Download it, and then boom, upload it to the system. Now, what did I do there? I just taught it C++ in a matter of seconds. Okay. So now, AI
Unbelievable.
agent, can you help me write this web app that it's for an e-commerce store that I want to sell um, toys on or something like that. Just, and then all of a sudden, and again, it's not going to be exactly perfect, but now, just
Yep.
like us and how we learn in school, you just taught it, right? I know that sounds scary, right? I mean, even I admit to this, like there were a couple cyber RFPs this summer, and I was using AI. I said I uploaded it, and it wasn't exact, but there are other humans reading it, so obviously you have to do a lot of tailoring and
Yep.
modification. I had lessons learned for myself, but the idea is like, okay, well, what if you had access to the way that organization looks at a ironclad winning RFP? Get a copy of it, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could be publicly available. Upload it to AI solution, and now you have a higher chance of winning that bid because you align to their style and what they're
Yeah.
looking. I
Yeah,
know it's
that's
crazy.
pretty cool. Like that's
Yeah,
amazing. We
yeah.
could do that as humans, but is that a 10x? Is that a 20x time? Like to learn it and to take the time to do that? Like that's amazing for making all of us more efficient. The problem is the human nature of laziness kicks in
I know.
and says, "Oh, just let it do it for me." And then
Well,
people buy the lie of, "Oh, it's just going to do it. Oh, it's going to magically do everything
well,
for me."
it also reminds me of me playing with this AI tool to do like email outreaches, right? Like, do you want friendly mode, professional mode? And it doesn't work. Like, I'm getting no responses, but it doesn't matter. I'm just playing with it. I'm just trialing with it. So it's just like, but then there's companies that are say like every single day I have 2 or 3 messages. Hey, can we get you more outreach? We use the AI. Okay, but you can learn all this stuff yourself and not invest one single dollar and crack the code that works for you and your business because everybody works differently. There
Yeah.
is no script that sells. Let's be honest. But the idea is like, okay, well, how can we leverage and leverage these things that are available and these tools that are available to, build better solutions in our organization or in our business, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we've talked about several of these just kind of mixed in amazing dialogue, identity and access. I mean, come on, MFA, all of that. Like, that's standard security practice that should extend through and around whatever's done in AI. We talked about third party risk management. That is not something that company does to pass audit. That is
No.
something that a company does to identify and mitigate risks. And so we need to be doing those practices the proper way. And then those would absolutely wrap around to AI. And
Yeah.
then, go ahead.
No, real quick. So advisory, what you just said hit the nail. Advisory versus remediation. And I had to even think about this. A partner of mine told me that you got to separate the two. And I find myself with some clients and privates doing both. No, that's not how it works because separation of duties does exist, right? So, went back to the drawing board. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do this advisory. If you need remediation, obviously, hire another company or I'd have to have another resource on that contract, for example, right? Because it
Yep.
can't be me, same person doing it, right? Yes, it could be the same company offering the services, but again, separation of duties. And
Yep.
it makes me think, really, it makes me think deep as far as like, as from your standpoint, you're coming in and you're just doing the advisory. We're identifying all your gaps and risks within your organization, right? That was based off of discovery. And then once you identify all that, then it gets remediated, and then the compliance piece kicks in,
Yeah,
right?
that's correct. Yeah. Yeah, and it goes both ways. The other side of third party risk is, customer trust. So the same thing.
Yeah.
Customers started asking, I don't know, a year or two ago about how, in the questionnaires it started showing up. How do you do AI? What do you use it for in relation to my service? And so definitely, need to think about it there. Again, not from a check the box standpoint, but from a getting it done standpoint. I want to um I want to flip to this because this we can kind of recap. We've talked a lot about this, but I would definitely like to, in our last few minutes, I would like to leave people with, okay, what do we need to be thinking? Somebody actually made a comment. I can speak for a lot of work being done in identity and access management, IAM, and AI and agents. And yes, again, that goes back to the reward. I totally agree. It's just doing it smart. This whole notion of someone terminated from the company and 3 months from now I'll figure it out in random SAS tool over here and we'll get that cleaned up. I mean, that's just us not using our resources around us. Like, come on. There's technology that can help with all of that, and some companies do really well, but sadly a lot of companies really haven't even mastered that. So again, huge reward. We just cannot ignore it is the reality. It's just how do we do it in a smart way? So when you see these, 5 must do's, what are the ones or what's the one that gives you angst in your soul to like, "Oh my gosh, people, yes, we need to be thinking about these things."
Yeah, the middle, number three, like there should be a policy before you even bring it up in
Ugh,
conversation or allow
a
you to.
policy, I can just download that off the web. What are you talking about, crazy person? Why in the world would you tell people? I'm laughing because I know what your answer is gonna be, but it's crazy how much I can just download those. Yeah, knock yourself out, but that doesn't do anything. Why
I
in the
know
world did you
they don't want to pay
why
for
did
it.
you highlight that one?
I
Why did
highlighted
you highlight
I
that one?
highlighted that because it sets boundaries and expectations from
Ooh.
day one when you join the company, right? Your understanding notion is that this is the only approved AI solution we use, and here are the rules and regulations
Yeah,
that you can't, the do's and the don'ts, right?
yep,
Don't upload your tax returns to it. Don't upload your salary to it. Don't upload, because last thing you want is your counterpart or employee that works in another department of the same company finding out how much you make, and then that causes so much. Again, when it comes to money, people get weird. Let's be honest, right? But the idea is like,
that's
why are
true.
you putting that out there for anybody to just grab? How do you know
Yep,
that you don't have an employee social engineering you, like in the company, right?
yep.
Or not social engineering, or trying to do more research or due diligence about you or investigating you in AI like that. I know that sounds weird, but people are using it so much that it's getting to learn people. And I know it sounds scary. I mean, I think my solution knows who I am now. So,
Yeah. No. Oh, I know they do get to know us, isn't that? I told mine to don't use words like feel. You don't feel, so stop it. Yes.
how do
D
you not know it doesn't feel?
Oh, stop it. Let's not even go there. But I love what you said about the policy. I tell people that it's like we're playing a game. Like, "Oh, we're gonna play a game. Great. But we're just gonna play. What wait, what's the rules? How do I win? What? Oh, we're just gonna play." And then, "Oh, I won." Wait, what did you win based on? Well, there were no rules. So that's what it is. And when you download something off the web that people, I actually had this conversation with a lady I respect greatly because she's actually thinking at it from this lens. I don't want just policies that I just found because then people aren't going to know what they mean and they're not going to do them. And so what does it really mean? I'm like, yeah, great thinking. I love it. I wish everybody thought that way because it really does set the boundaries, just like you said. It also bridges the gap of communication and expectations, and then from that flows out and down what technical constraints are we going to put into place? What really are the risks that we're going to mitigate? And then what are the practices that we're going to start to do to monitor this to make sure that we're ultimately satisfying this? How are we going to implement it? What's our design? What's our monitor? And then we're going to have to continuously improve it because, as you said, it will change in nanoseconds. So, again, this whole notion of what was it I was reading? It comes out of NIST. I was having a conversation with someone where they're going to continually monitor. It doesn't mean that. It means, oh, well, let's make sure we look at it at least once a year. Okay,
Well,
that's not
yeah,
continuous
yeah,
monitoring.
no, yeah, no, and well, no, it's funny. It's funny you bring up NIST because NIST doesn't have an AI special publication yet, and I mean, obviously the government's a shutdown, but like once it reopens, I think they're thinking about building. I'm hoping they're going to think about building an AI NIST special
Yeah.
publications because they go so in depth. It's nice because it's a framework
Yeah.
that a lot of people use, the risk management framework. You have the 853. I mean, there's so many different ones, right? One for mobile, but there's none for AI. So it's like, okay, well, what governments do you go after? Obviously, there are things you can kind of align it to a little bit, but again, like by having a policy in place and procedure to say, okay, well, these are the do's and the don'ts, and and push comes to shove, maybe a lot of these organizations are like, you know what, we're going to block anything that has .ai in it, so you can't even hit it, and we can only allow this one AI solution that, let's say, we're paying a premium, a hefty price for, and hopefully knowing that they lock their stuff down. I don't know, no idea.
Yeah, it's an option. Somebody said, "Do you think regulations will catch up to AI anytime soon?" That's a hard no.
Oh no. That's like that's like
Regulation,
cryptocurrency.
yeah, regulation moves so ridiculously slow. So if a company is waiting for regulation, you've already missed the train.
CMMC is a big one, right?
Yeah.
Like, sorry, a quick aside from AI, but
No.
CMMC, it
Yeah.
it it's not anything new. I remember because was doing first it was DITS cap, then diet cap, and then it swiveled over to CMMC because 1100 controls to review was way too much in the 853 series. So 800, 171 dumbed it out to 110. Obviously, there's a lot of sub controls. But anyways, the point is that finally on November 10th, DFARS was like, hey,
Yep.
GovCon, either get with the program or you're out.
Get
So
out. Well, that's a whole different dialogue that we could
that's
talk
a,
about.
you know, that's a different,
They're
but I'm
gonna
giving
have to
you
have
for
some
regulation.
grace.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
No,
no, I totally agree, and it's been talked about for how many years. So yes, I totally agree. Okay, we only have a couple
no.
more minutes, and we've answered a lot of amazing dialogue.
Mhm.
So I think we can maybe talk about this because this is a real thing too. What do we do with objectives to, hey, we need to do, because a CISO who's trying, or a head of security who's trying to get ahead of this. One, there is a certain speed and pace that they have to move at. But
Yeah.
then two, they're going to be constantly pressured by the business. Reward, reward, reward. So those are like real things. So what would you just kind of generally give to advice for people who again are caught in this contention?
Well, yeah, no, I mean, again, like I said earlier, learn the business, know the business, be the business, right? As a CISO, right? You have to.
Be
There's
the
no
business.
way around it, right? And
Yep.
then that's one part. And then the second part is, okay, well, how do I take all of this? We need speed. We don't pay sensitive data. This is too heavy, and equate it to numbers because that's what the top level sees. And if they can understand the cost of not doing these things, maybe they'll get their money and not always complain, saying, hey, they always say we don't have to have budget, we cut this, and they don't know why we're here because we're sort of that beaconing behind the scenes
Yep.
folks, right? And we're doing all of these things and we're investing these things in a reason because attacks are happening, people are getting
Yeah.
attacked, insider threat is very real, it is
Very
very
real.
real. So
Yeah.
what are you doing to protect that? Oh, I don't
Yeah.
know. Okay, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Literally, someone on the team just earlier today said, okay, a month delay is better than failure and starting all over again. And I was like, and that's kind of the mindset. Yes, speed is very important in this, but to what you were saying, but definitely take a little bit of a pause because just what you just said, the bad actors, a breach, something catastrophic, insider threat. What is that really going to cost you? And it's so easy, I feel like, for us to get complacent because we see it in the news like every day, all day, and it's like, yeah, it'll happen, whatever. But when it happens to you, there's no complacency about it. So, in one or two sentences, what would you leave our audience with regarding this topic? Like the most, two, like 1 or 2 sentences, most important things you wanna leave them with.
Yeah, absolutely. Just, be vigilant, be
Mhm.
aware. That's the first part. And the second part is make sure your company has an AI governance solution. I mean, reach
Love it.
out to the Hotman group if you guys definitely
I
this is your bread and butter, right? Or reach out to, let's say us if you're trying to
To
build
you,
something,
yes. I was
or
literally gonna say that. We do complimentary health checks for companies on their GRC program overall. Obviously, AI would be part of that, but I know this is a big passion for you
of
with
course.
AI in general. So yes, if a company, I mean, I'm sure you're very open to absolutely connect with us on LinkedIn. Love to hear your questions, send the emails in, where I always say this is a social responsibility for all of us now because it's our data, it's our children's data, it's our lives. Like it really is very us against them at this point. And so we have to all support and work with each other, which is why we love doing these live events to just really help people kind of open their thinking, confirm their thinking, change their perspective, ask the questions because we just need to all keep talking about this stuff.
Yeah, no,
Grand Bear,
definitely, definitely.
truly appreciate your time. Yes. And thank you, audience, so much for your time as well. But thank you for taking an hour of your day today. I really appreciate it. Amazing insight. And I look forward to future events like this with you.
Yeah, no, and one more note to close.
Yep.
Like you said earlier, we are all in this together. I
Yeah.
really genuinely wish that more cybersecurity businesses, organizations start collaborating and working together, just like you and I are, right? But it's
Yep.
a lot bigger than that. It's like, okay, well, we have to be a community again. Like if we're not a community
Yeah.
and we're competing against each other,
It
that's not
did
how cyber works. You have
so
to be in
much.
it. What do you think the cyber criminals, all those organizations, they may be competing each other, but most of them also work together too, and
Yep.
that's how they build their forces. And I don't understand why we got lost in translations, and here we are, and everybody's like, no, I want 1,000 clients, and I'm not gonna, and it's not even about that. It's like, okay, well, we can work hand in hand. You have folks that do compliance, you have folks that do
Yep.
the technical part, you have folks that do threat, and
We
again,
do.
there's many different moving pieces, and I think
Yep.
everybody gets that.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. I really appreciate that. And yes, we value our partnerships like with you. I
Of course.
personally value relationships like with you because, yeah, we're kind of all in this together. And I'm a nerd and love this stuff. And, it is what it is. And never a day is a dull moment. So thank you again so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you, audience. Appreciate your time. And we'll post this message and see you next time.
Thank you.